So, Lucilius, still hasn't been out long. Been out for about 2 days now. Early impressions, quite good. Very unique character as well for the game. Now, unfortunately for me, Diaphone, as usual, because he is the god of making content for this game, at least if you speak English, has very quickly beat me to the punch on making this video. This character though, fucking godlike, right? But he is a little tricky to play. His main gimmick is his cooldowns. Instead of having regular plus skills like every other character does, he instead he gets access to like generally more powerful specials, generally more powerful, right? But at the cost of using them early in the match, has like a 10-second cooldown. The buff that you get changes depending on which blade level you get up to. So for level 1, you will get a lower cooldown, but at level 2, you actually get increased damage. So your damage goes up. You get increased damage of non-ultimate skills and orbital resonance attacks, which is this shit, by 10%. Level 3 is lowered cooldown. Level 4 is increased damage again to 20%, and then level 5 is the lowest of the cooldown. Once we get up to level 5, you now have max stats. So you have a 20% damage bonus on all your specials, and now your cooldowns are crazy fast. He also gets this little lightning glow. Yeah, you get this. See this fucking this lightning shit around him. That's there now. Now getting to level 5 is really hard. Also hampered by the fact that his defense is not the greatest. While he has really good jabs, he has no involved move outside of spending bar. His ult DP is really strong. It's actually a really good ult DP. But his blade level's interesting, right? Because he incentivizes you just tossing out shit, get your damage when you can, get your knockdowns, chuck your fireball, and then before you've realized it, oh shit, I'm out of cooldown. But since his cooldowns are so low, the developers decided, you know what? Let's just give him really fucking stupid normals. His normals are fantastic. He has amazing normals. They're all good, right? I think 2M's like the only whatever one, and even that one's okay, right? So like, this character's ridiculous. His jab, his far jab, is stupid as hell. He's got a sword normal on like this jab. It's +1 on block. It's kind of like a Neela's, but even better range, right? And obviously you have Raging Strike in this game. You have this, right? I don't think this unfortunately cannot convert into his median hit grab, because otherwise it'd be like amazing. Right, you can do it into light sword or light hit grab, not light fireball though. Light fireball does not hit, unfortunately. Alright, but this button's amazing. His far end, well, this is just like, I mean, look at this thing. Listen, anyone who's played an Arxis game, it just either got PTSD or happy memories from seeing the animation of this normal. This might remind you of someone. This button is fantastic, right? Absolutely fantastic. Unlike that other character, it is not a good anti-air. Do not try to anti-air with it. But obviously, incredible poke range. Can go into medium hit grab, which is always really nice, right? Off certain links, like let's say I do a little combo into this. If you're in the corner, right, you will have time to go into far M. There you go. You'll have time. So it's a really good like makeup link for when you're not quite close enough for like a close aim or something. Generally it's pretty fast. It's at 7 frames. So 7 frames for a button this long, pretty good, right? So 7 frames it's fastest. It's got 2 hitboxes. 9 frames at peak, right? At the very tip, he gets you'll see how his foot kind of juts out a little bit towards the end of it, the end of his animation. That's the second hitbox coming in. So that button's really good, right? Not completely broken though. If it was 7 frames at like max range, it'd be like one of the dumbest buttons ever, but they didn't do that. Speaking of his mediums, one of his most unique buttons is his 2M. So when you see this, you'll think, oh, this must be some sort of plus on block like reset or something. Not the case. This thing is not plus at all, right? This thing is -3. It is quite minus, all right, on block. And on regular hit, it's also pretty whatever as well. It's like +1, and that's not amazing, right? You can't even, I think you can link into close L off this. I think. Any even? No, can't even do that. So a lot of recovery on that button. However, if you counter hit with it, you are now +9 on hit. For some reason they gave it a really juiced counter hit hitbox, and it's also a little disjointed at range. It's bigger than it looks, right? So if you get this on counter hit, if you make a really big poke out in like mid-range footsies or something, you can go right into far end into a command grab or some kind of linker or something, right? So obviously that's pretty good. That's pretty nice. This normal is going to be more scenario oriented. It's not very versatile. His fire heavy, it's a lot like his fire M. Its big claim to fame though is that it actually pulls the opponent in a little bit. So it's got a magnet hitbox, which makes it particularly good in certain situations. So let's say off something like this, you can use that pull in to make your combo more consistent, right? And then get your crazy route and shit like that. As far as his close buttons are concerned, none of them, they're pretty typical, right? Nothing too crazy going on here. This is the average +4. This is -4, which is also average. This is -6, but a triple hitting, so easy hit confirm if you do land it, right? You'll probably be relying on close M the most. It's also the most consistent in routes. So like in a situation like this, God damn it, the cooldown. Heavy will not connect, but M will. So you'll end up relying on it for stuff like that. Along with that, his 2H, not particularly unique, but very large. It's similar to stuff like Siegfried's 2H, right? Very large, tall move. So obviously very, it hits at like very, very high, right? Like look how high, like she was so high I wasn't even able to like convert it properly, right? That's how high she was. I think it does have the Grand Blue-ism of like all the anti-airs hit behind him somewhat, so cross-ups aren't too potent in this game, and I believe this move is the same. So you shouldn't have to worry about that, but do be aware of its linearity. Another button as well, his sweep. His sweep is deceptively strong. Very good sweep. Very good sweep. Right, the swords kind of don't really give away how big the normal actually is. And it's got interesting links as well off of something like this. It links into medium fireball, which is something you'll want to use. As for his specials, his fireball is quite unique and quite strong. You'll be tempted to throw this out in neutral since this light one tends to overpower most fireballs in the game and also goes full screen if just a little slower than some. It also lets you link into close aim in the corner. So let's say I don't fuck this up. There you go. Alright. And you get your cute little combo. So that's something to keep note of. I believe you can go into M Fireball as well, and that will also link it. M Fireball launches. So all his fireballs in the corner are really strong. And obviously the heavy one, while it doesn't link in anything, I'm sure you've seen the clips at this point. This thing's an insane Oki tool, lasts forever. And then his ult Fireball, this thing is not as busted as you'd think. Right, but very strong tool, leads to very good combos, and that move's gonna link into a point I'm gonna make later. His sword moves are interesting. His heavy one is safe on block, I believe. It is minus what minus is it? It's -4. It's pretty good. So safe on block. The medium one, however, since it's a launcher, -8, and the light one is -8 as well. So only the heavy one at the cost of lower startup is safe, but that is your safe on block ender should you need it. This is the light sword is generally your light confirm. That's the special as long as it's off cooldown, that's the special you're going to want to go into off your light confirms. So do take note of that. His teleport's interesting. Diaphone broke it down himself, but I'll break it down here. The general mind game is that this one's plus on block, this one's safe, and a good counter hit launcher in the corner, since in the corner, on counter hit, it will launch the opponent, and you'll get a wall bounce, right? And then the light one just does nothing, right? The RPS around this is at 2H, because this is like the most powerful one on block and hit, since it's plus and does a launch on hit. So most people, when they're looking for the teleport, they're going to be waiting to 2H, which beats both this and the light version. Since if on the light version you'll get hit, on heavy you'll get counter hit. Right, so the mind game then becomes, do I do M version instead? And while I get less reward, I'm going to just hit you. Right, the RPS on it isn't great. It isn't super in your favor. You're mainly going to want to like do like some sort of knockdown into his heavy teleport to get the plus, to try to force the plus rooms there, and then play the RPS that way. I'd say his teleport is probably his weakest special, even more than the hit grab, because the hit grab does a lot of damage on hit, right? Though it's not the most consistent. It's also, the hit grab itself is dependent on how many swords you have, so if you've been using his unique attack and chucking away the swords, your hit grab's going to do less damage, because it depends on how many swords you have. You can lose up to, I think, 900 damage if you have no swords, so the teleport's not incredible. The hit grab itself, on block it's pretty whatever. They're all safe, fortunately. The heavy is the longest and the slowest. Medium's obviously the in between and the good knockdown tool. And the light version is pretty unique since it gives you a wall bounce at the wall, right? So even though its mid-screen use is pretty lackluster, at the wall it's very potent. So worth taking note of there, and it's worth trying to keep this cooldown up when you can, just for that wall bounce. But going for this knockdown is never really a bad thing. He gets pretty good Oki off this, right? The other move, probably one of the most important ones long term, is his unique attack. So his unique skill, he slowly charges his blade level bar. And he can do a variety of follow-ups using the sword. So light is a projectile, medium is a sort of plus on block reset tool that pulls in, and heavy is like an anti-air, right? A little fast upward, downward swing with a high hitbox. The strongest tool by far is this one, right here. On block, it leaves them -2, you are +2, and generally leaves them close enough for you to do a jab reset, so you can frame trap off of that. And then obviously that can set up for like ambitious throw situations and that kind of thing. So that's really good. That's the one you'll generally be using, and every time you do use it, you're going to gain a bit of bar. Using the sword as well gives you bar, so that's worth using as well just for that. It doesn't give you as much bar as using a special move itself. Also, they're not amazing because they're also tied to the cooldowns. So let's say I spend this, I believe I can no longer throw my fireball until my sword comes back. So that's something you want to keep in mind. You can't use it while the cooldowns are down, and they affect the special moves while the swords are gone. So learn which ones affect what. Alright, so if you do M version, you can no longer fireball. If you do heavy to anti-air, you can no longer do your sword attacks. Also, when you throw a sword, it changes some animations, actually. For example, his sweep, because he no longer has a sword, he instead hits you with darkness. I thought that was pretty cute. I like that touch. The real shit, though, with Lucilius is that because he's so focused on upping his blade level to get better cooldowns, early on, you're going to have to find a way to oppress your opponent with better tools. So if you get a good start and you get some bar, one thing you should take note of is that his ult skills actually aren't tied to his cooldowns. They have regular move cooldowns instead. So if you want to try, so let's say your fireball's down, but you still need a neutral tool and you have 50 bar, you can throw ult fireball instead, and it won't be affected by the cooldown. Right, so these can be like good DP DP punishes and stuff like this. And so if I hit this as a starter, I will recover in time to get my medium fireball back, right? And the cooldown will have gone away by then, right? All his ult skills are pretty good as well, by the way. This is like a full screen, full-on punish tool, so this can be a really good call-out tool. It also slows down the screen when done, so it can be used to call out a variety of tools. Obviously, the ult DP, as we mentioned before, this is literally his only involved move, so that makes it pretty important, and it's pretty good for an ult DP, right? The best one though by far is ult teleport. Ult teleport is amazing. Also slows down the screen like the other special. Dodges fireball and does a wall bounce on hit. Right, so using this, you can get some serious damage. I haven't practiced this route very much, I'm afraid, so I still need to. There you go. That's the main route they're doing. That or into the hit grab, right, as the ender. Do keep this move in mind when you have 50 bar, because it is really worth going for. It's a really good starter. Consistent as I'd hope, though. I don't wonder what's up with that. But that's generally your combo. It also does a pretty fucking good amount of damage too, so you'll want to keep that in mind. The main thing with Lucilius is just that, one, he's a little linear because of his playstyle, particularly early on, because he's suffering from all these cooldowns. You can get pretty predictable as to what kind of tool you want to use, since once you've spent a tool, you're going to be waiting a while to do it again, and the only way to speed that up is to then use more tools, right? So playing around that can be really tricky. In return, they've made it so that all his tools are really oppressive, right? Every move he has is really strong, so you'll want to use them all the time. But often that can lead to a more predictable style, so you're gonna have to work around that. And on top of that, because he's worrying about these cooldowns all the time, he's just kind of harder to play. He's not your typical Grambley character. He's actually requires a fair amount of foresight and active thinking and paying attention in order to operate at max capacity. Right? So that's something to keep in note if you do want to play it. Is that you're going to be working a little bit. He does reward you with good strength though. He's got decent damage. He has really good knockdowns. Good variety of tools as well. And once you do get that blade level up, he becomes a boss character. Blade level 5, he gets like 2-second long cooldowns, and every move is just any hit can turn into a good combo. Right, so it's really worth just investing in that alone, right, and pushing for that blade level 5. But if you're gonna push for that like fervently, you're probably gonna be relying on his ultimate skills a lot, and using that instead. Another thing to take note as well is that, fortunately, he does on block. Not many of his specials are punishable, but none of them lead to particularly advantageous situations either. Right? His main like plus frames on command are like this move, right? And his fireballs lead to a lot of plus frames. But obviously the fireballs have the caveat of, because they're blocking for so long, it actually can be quite, you can't frame trap them. You have to just pressure them or do some kind of setup or something. So that's something to keep in mind. And as far as plus frames on command is concerned, this move can actually be fairly hard to get into. All right, it's quite slow on startup. I believe on activation it's about, I think that's about nearly 20 frames there to get into the sword. So you have to keep that in mind, that if people are mashy, they can call you out pretty hard before you can get your setup going. So that's tricky. His supers are interesting. His regular SSBA is pretty normal. It's like a close ranged super. I believe it can go full screen if you do it as well. So it can work as like a sort of fireball super, but it's pretty slow. So unless you're going for like a direct fireball punish, this can get you stuck. His other super, it looks like it could be really strong, but it's a bit early, so I'm not quite sure what it's even really good for yet. And as far as his SSBA goes, it's actually quite unique since it doesn't require a clean hit. If the opponent gets hit by any part of the super, they're losing 2 diamonds. Right, so there's no missing the clean hit with the SSBA, which is actually really good. But at the cost that it has lower range than most. I believe it has average startup. So that's worth taking note. It also doesn't do as much damage as you'd expect. The SSBA is not as insane damage-wise as you'd think like Paradise Lost would be. Alright, considering how famous the attack is. Get good at memorizing your skills. Get good at memorizing. I've already said it, and I'll just reiterate. Blue means fireball, purple means sword, green means teleport, brown means hit grab. Keep that in mind. Use that as your method. Alright? Understand which skills are missing, and understand which ult skills can help you. Because these ult skills aren't tied to the cooldowns, and they can come in handy when you've run out of... when your skills are on cooldown. So do keep that in mind. I've been playing a lot of Lucilius myself. I have a lot of footage in the background. I'm probably going to shove it at the end of this recording. One thing, since his jab is so super, you're going to end up relying on Raging Strike a lot. Because his Raging Strike is really... Fortunately, he doesn't have the Vasaraka problem. His Raging Strike is very consistent. But you're going to be using it a lot for when your cooldowns are up and you need to get a conversion stacked. You may end up wanting to rely on that a fair bit as well. So far, once again, it's really early to make like a meta claim because setups will be found, people will find out the true power of the character, stuff like that. But so far, he seems pretty high tier to me. Actually, he seems like a character that with development, he could end up being really powerful. But he doesn't strike me as like top 4 oppressive meta character quite yet. But I think he has the potential. I think he absolutely has the potential. His moves are really good. Right, and I think with proper use and development, he could be a real menace, right? But I think he requires a lot of patience, an absurd amount of patience, and really good resource awareness. But I think if you're able to handle that, he's quite rewarding. He's unique as well because like stuff like his medium sword gives him like mid-screen combos that like most characters don't get without having to spend like an EX skill, and even then, a lot of them don't get it. So he gets like mid-screen. He gets mid-screen launches and stuff, that's really good. Not many characters running around with those.